Hi, today I want to show you how to calculate daily interest. A lot of times when we look at our bank statement, we pretty much just trust what we see. But it would be good to learn how to calculate daily interest for two reasons. One is we want to double check that there's no mistakes. Usually there aren't any. But also we want to be able to calculate so we know whether it's smart to move money certain places or not. Here's an example where this particular bank charges a less interest the higher the higher amount you owe, the lower their interest, their HELOC interest is. You actually get a 0.75% discount if your balance is 50,000 or higher, as you see here. And as soon as you go 1 penny under, your interest rate actually goes up. So you see here, the interest rate went up 0.75 as the balance went down. So actually, it's kind of weird because in this case, your if you have lower balance than 50K, you actually pay more interest. You actually pay $208. Whereas if you actually increase your balance, you get the lower interest rate discount and you actually pay less interest, which doesn't make sense. It's kind of counterintuitive, but that's just the way this bank set things up. So I entered these formulas so that you know how to calculate them in your particular case with your particular numbers. All right, so the way to calculate it is your bank will give you an annual percent. So here's an annual percent. In this case, like I said, they gave a 0.75% discount for the higher balance over 50K. Here the balance is 58,243.05. That's above 50K, so it had the discount interest rate. This one has a lower balance below 50K and it had the higher interest. So to calculate, take this annual interest and divide by 365. So you see here, I have this equals C2, which is this cell over 365, and this is C3, which is this cell over 365. And you see that this calculation closely matches what the bank wrote on their statement. The bank wrote these daily interest rates on their statement. And you see that my taking the annual rate and dividing by 365 is very close. I go many digits and it's pretty accurate, all the way to this 6-digit and this 3-digit here. Here is the number of days at this balance and this balance. So in this particular example, the balance was 29. Spent 29 days at the 58,243.05, and that ended up with an interest of 207.78 according to the bank. So I plugged it into formula to double check the bank's number. Here you see what I have. To calculate the interest, I take the principal, which is cell B2, times 1 plus the daily interest. So 1 plus the daily interest, which is cell E2. You see E2 here. I'll put the 1 plus that in parentheses, and you do it to the power of how many days. In this case, days is in cell F2, so you see I did it to the power of F2. So in this case, I have 1.01230136 to the power of 29. And that will give you the balance of this plus the interest. So if you want the interest by itself, you subtract the original balance, which is 58. So that's why I subtracted the B2, cell B2, 58,243.05. And then I get this interest. So you see the interest I calculated? It's pretty close to what they reported. Some of it's rounding error, but it's very close. And you see that the same with the lower number. It's very close. My number is within a penny. So similar thing. You see, let's do it with this number too. You see B3, which is here, this principal balance, 45,958.45, and you multiply by 1 plus the daily interest. Daily interest is 5.24 divided by 365, which is this number. So you take this number, and it ends up being 1.014356, blah, 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 to the power of the number of days. So number of days is 2. So F3 is cell 2. That will give you the balance. After that, this principal plus the interest. So you subtract the principal and you're left with just the interest, which is 13.20. All right, so looking at this is how to calculate the interest. Now the question is, what balance do I need to be below so that it breaks even with the higher balance? So in this case, remember 50,000 above, I got the lower interest rate. So it's counterintuitive. I actually got I paid less interest at 50K than if I went down a penny. Actually here, over here, you see my calculation. I actually will pay $30 more per month if I went 1 penny below 50,000. So it's weird. It's kind of counterintuitive, and I'm actually better off having a higher. If I'm going to be just below 50K, I might as well be just barely above 50K. So I get the lower interest rate. And I actually would save $30 a month by doing that. So the question is, what is the break-even point? So that I know what it is that I need to be at or below rather than between. So you see, I figured it out here. The way to do it is take the ratio of 4.49 over 5.24, and you end up with 0.85687, which I expressed in percentage terms as 85.687%. And that will give me, if I take 50K times this number, which is 0.85687, I'll get 42,843. So that's my number. That's the magic number. If I'm going to be above this balance but below 50, I'm going to be paying more interest. So to pay less interest, I have to either be below 42,843 or above 50. I don't want to be in between. And just to double check, I ran this calculation. So you see here, I ran the calculation. B16, which is here, B16, times 1 plus E16, E16 is here, to the power of the number of days, F16, which is here. And that gives me the balance, which is principal plus interest. If I subtract principal, I have left with just interest, is right here. So you see that I got the answer, and they match. All right, so now you know how to do a detailed calculation of your interest.